But lots of people, though, look at how Donald Trump behaves in this country and don't like it very much. And there are people like the SNP, for example, other public figures saying he shouldn't be given a second state visit. That's an unprecedented thing. It wasn't given to Reagan. It wasn't given to George Bush. Why does Donald Trump deserve a second state visit? Or frankly, was it a diplomatic enticement so that you could get him on board?
Well, that's a matter for the King. The King has extended the invitation.
It wouldn't have happened if the government hadn't wanted it to, Prime Minister. Come on, everybody knows that.
The invitation. But again, this is a moment of real fragility in Europe. It's a very serious moment. You said so yourself opening the programme. You're absolutely right.
Good morning. The Prime Minister is with us live as we discuss war and peace. Journalist and Trump whisperer Piers Morgan, legendary broadcaster Christiane Amanpour, and Trump backer Greg Swenson.
Nobody wants to see that. Later that day, I then picked up the phone and therefore I took to the phones. That was my response.
And so what did you say to
look,
Donald
nobody
Trump?
wants to see that. Clearly, there's a lot of tension. The cameras were on. Nobody wants to see that. But I spoke to President Trump. President Macron after that, and then to President Trump. And the purpose, or my driving purpose, has been to bridge this, if you like, and get us back to the central focus. And as a result of the meeting yesterday, we had quite a long time with President Zelensky, then President Macron and President Trump on the phone. We've now agreed that the United Kingdom, along with France and possibly one or two others, will work with Ukraine because, as I say, nobody wants to see what happened on Friday, but it's really important that we keep our central focus, which yes, I felt uncomfortable. Nobody wants to see that. But the important thing is how to react to that. We've had 3 years of bloody conflict now. We need to get to that lasting peace. And I have to say, I've spoken to President Trump a number of times. I've met him twice. We had a long session on Thursday. I'm clear in my mind that he does want lasting peace.
Because the version in the Oval Office with you gave the impression, as you say, that he does want a lasting peace, that a different version who appeared just to want it over, not particularly interested, said he was in the middle of Ukraine and Russia. He didn't want to give Ukraine any advantage.
Well, I'm clear in my mind that he wants a lasting peace, is that he wants a lasting peace. And I agree with him about he wants this conflict to go on, least of all the Ukrainians. In my view, that President Trump wants lasting peace.
What does that mean to Donald Trump?
Well, that means a line that is agreed, well, a lasting peace.
But what does that mean to Donald Trump?
Well, that means a line that is agreed, and that is what President Zelensky is worried about. He's pretty open about that. There was the Minsk deal, obviously, before. It didn't hold, and so President Zelensky is rightly concerned that if there's to be a deal, it has to hold. And that,
where would the line between Russia and Ukraine be agreed? Can you tell us that today?
no, there can be no discussion about Ukraine without Ukraine. Then that agreement has to be defended, because the worst of all outcomes is that there is a temporary pause and then Putin comes again.
So on this central question, I'll ask again, is it your belief, and has the American president told you, that he would, with American military backing, whatever it is, whether it's fast jets or long-range radar, would he guarantee any peace deal that is agreed between Ukraine and Russia?
US backstop, because I don't think it would be a guarantee without it. I don't think it would be a deterrence without it. So the two have to go together. That decision because of the security concerns and the defence of our country. And in the end, the first duty of a prime minister is to keep his or her country safe. And I take that duty extremely seriously.
Prime Minister Keir Starmer, thank you so much for coming in. I know you have to leave now, but going to go and see international leaders is just about as good as an excuse I've ever heard for leaving an interview on time. But we appreciate you coming in, and I think viewers will understand why we focused only on Ukraine. So come back soon and we'll talk about all the other things that our viewers care about. Thank you so much. Perhaps, but a line must be agreed between Ukraine and Russia. Then there'll be European forces guaranteeing that line somehow. What did you make of what you heard?
It's still very vague, but what Prime Minister said was much more clear. And I think the big story here is that he made it very clear that the whole alliance understands that Ukraine is the victim, that Russia is the aggressor, that the alliance stands with Ukraine. People have thought that President Trump stands with Russia in his public demeanor. The other thing he made very clear is we are on our own. Did you hear that? We're going to be doing a coalition of the willing. We're going to be discussing with the leading European leaders, and then we're going to be telling the United States. President Trump appears, according to the Prime Minister, to have bowed to the inevitable. He's not been able to deliver.
Can also calm down very quickly. I was struck by the fact the Prime Minister says he's been having conversations with Donald Trump, with President Macron. Look, you have to understand the American position in this and where Trump comes from and why I think things got fractious in the Oval Office. Yes, it was unedifying. It was also riveting, and it was also very revealing about...
From Keir Starmer.
I liked it. I think the Prime Minister's had the best week he's had since he took office. And I think he's very right to not try and create more division between the UK and the United States. And it's not easy to deal with Donald Trump. I've known him 20 years. I've negotiated. I've had a worse scene with him shouting at me louder.
A lot of people in this country, well, we know a lot of people in this country, even the Prime Minister pretty much admitted it there, saw those scenes in the Oval Office and thought that is no way to behave. You know Donald Trump. Why did he explode like that?
Well, I think he was prompted by Zelensky. I mean, that was clear. I mean, it wasn't just a misstep by President Zelensky, but it was also a missed opportunity. And I think when he started, criticizing Vice President J.D. Vance, and that became a criticism of President Trump, I think it was a big mistake.
What did he do?
There will be a deal. You watch. Trump is going to do this deal because he does want peace. That I can tell you from talking to him this week. He wants peace.
Does Putin want peace?
Well, this is why you've got to give Trump some leeway in how he deals with Putin. We may not like it, but he's got to get Putin in that room, and he's got to get Zelensky in that room, and they've got to do a deal.
And from your conversation on the phone with President Trump this week, maybe one day he'll speak to the BBC instead of phoning you up all the time.
I'll put a good word in for you, Laura.
That would be great.
Yeah.
That you believe that he is sincere, not just in ending the war,
100%.
but having a lasting deal so that Putin can't reload and then come back.
100%.
Can I just make one comment?
Peace.
Alistair Campbell, who's been in the room many times before, said on the radio today, to the BBC this week rather, Trump has to stop pretending that he's on a TV episode of This Is a Peace Deal and actually do the work.
Okay.
Actually do the work, which the Americans can.
Well, we believe in doing lots of
I don't
work
think I'd take any
on
advice
TV
from
as
Alistair
well.
Campbell about doing peace.
You might not.
That's another
the bloke
whole
who took us into an illegal war in Iraq.
That's another whole programme. But all three of you, thank you so much for your insights. It's been a great discussion this morning. Thank you.